guys, welcome back to this week's episode of the Corporate Dropouts. So as you can see, we're doing things a little bit differently this week. Basically, we've had a few life updates. Christina's actually recording this podcast from Bali. So
from a different location on the other side of the world.
Normally she's like next to me and she's not. So this is weird. I'm like pretending she's here, but she's not.
And also you could definitely tell from the state of dress between the two of us. Like one of us is in a woolen jumper and freezing, and the other one's in like a vest top and literally sweating like a pig. So that's fun.
I know. I literally had another jumper on before recording this, and I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, off.
But yeah, so it's been a really exciting. I think it might have been like 2 months since we last recorded a podcast. And that was actually the time, that we moved to Bali, which is super exciting. But also in that time, Ellie has, as all of you will hopefully know, launched officially Untold Story, which is super exciting. So she's officially a fucking boss bitch business owner. Yay. So yeah, that's so exciting.
Yeah, a lot has happened.
Apologies. Yeah, apologies for the slight hiatus, but it has not been without good reasons.
No, definitely. We wanted to make sure that we had like everything kind of like settled down before we like time to actually plan the next few episodes, because we just didn't want to come on camera and start recording when we weren't really sure what we wanted to speak about. We think about so many other things. Christina's like getting used to a new country, like I'm launching my business. This is what this podcast is about. It's just we're real people, we ebb and flow. Sometimes we have to make priorities different and we have to change our priorities, but we're still going to turn up. We're still going to be here. We just might be a few weeks late.
And actually, I think that's a really nice thing, because actually the reason for the delay is because both of us have been working on 2 humongous goals that we set ourselves at the beginning of the year. And actually, I think in that's a lesson in itself almost. And it's like, of course, you're going to have things that you have commitments to in your kind of day-to-day life, but actually, and obviously the podcast is a big commitment for us and a big goal for us as well, but sometimes it's okay just to let things like go by the wayside for a couple of weeks while you focus your whole attention on one thing. And I think that's fine, and I think that's quite a big lesson. Like, it doesn't mean that you failed or you can never do it again. Like, Ellie and I knew full well that we were going to come back to the podcast. We talk about it every week still, but we didn't want to just do it for the sake of doing one every week. We're like, no, we really want to put our sole attention into, launching Untold Story or settling in Bali. And then we'll come back to the podcast when we're able to.
Yeah, absolutely. And now actually we've come and we've like planned our next few episodes, and we're really excited about them because they just resonate so much more with us now. So this week, our podcast episode, as I'm sure you've seen from the title, is all about goals. Now, we've done goals before, so it's not our normal goal setting episode. We're speaking a lot about, like Christina just said, like these big goals that we've set ourselves like back in the start of the year or even like a few years ago, and now we've achieved them. Like, we realized how important it is to have one goal. I think we're all really bad at setting ourselves hundreds and hundreds of goals throughout the year. And when we don't tick every single goal off, like, you feel a bit deflated. Well, I do anyway. And so we just saw great value in creating an episode centered around just setting one goal for yourself for 2023 and just concentrating on that. So that could literally be a very big umbrella goal of, say, launch my business. Well, obviously there's loads of little goals that come under that, but if you've got that one really clear big goal in mind that you're just going to focus on, and you can break that down whatever way you want to, but not to overwhelm yourself with launch a business, lose 2 stone, travel to 7 countries. Like, you should just let yourself concentrate on that one big goal. And when things come up, okay, I do want to go on holiday. Okay, I'll go on holiday. Well, you don't need to put pressure on yourself now to tick off 7 countries. You don't need to put pressure on yourself now to lose 3 stone. Like, you just have that one focus for the year, and that will really, like, I think like this is what's really affected me this year, is having too many goals, and that's actually brought me down. And we talk so much about reflection as well, and how that's really beneficial. That's what we want for you guys to achieve by next year, is like, okay, I had my one goal and I really did achieve it, instead of feeling cluttered with cluttered
Yeah.
with all these other things.
And I think it's like, it's really interesting because actually having had a really successful year in terms of goals, when I look back in terms of like, what did I set out to achieve in 2022? A lot of it was focused around mindset for me. So a lot of it was like, I was in such a bad place at the end of last year, and I really wanted to like rebuild myself and give myself power, and that in it's like give myself back the power that I knew I had within me, which sounds like such
Love
a
that.
weird goal. And I know that they like talk about having SMART goals and having, you know, KPIs attached to your goals and whatever. But for me, like personal goals, I think are attached to how you feel. And the difference in how I feel between last year and this year is just unbelievable. And yes, of course, within that, there's been specific things I've achieved, like I've lost 2 stone, I've moved to Bali, I've whatever. I've cleared my debts, like all of these things I set out. But I knew by reframing my mindset and like remembering who the fuck I was and knowing that it was all within my own power, that's what helped me achieve those goals. And actually, I was thinking about it yesterday. Like, what did I do to kind of make these goals a part of my everyday routine? And I think it's so simple when you actually break it down. Like, it is literally putting in place 3 habits a day that you literally never don't do. Like, it's just so simple. Just put 3 habits in a day. So if you want to lose weight, that always is like eat within your calories, move more, and drink water, right? And that's all you have to do every day. Drink 1 gallon of water or 1 liter of water, whatever you want to do. Walk 10,000 steps and eat 1,500 calories and X amount of protein, whatever it works out for your body shape, right? And then if you do that for 365 days of the year, next year, guess what? You're going to actually smash your goal. And I just think people like set these lofty goals at the beginning of the year, and it's just like, you don't actually realize it's quite simple to achieve them. But if you give yourself 100 things to achieve, because everyone's setting out to launch a business or like make £1 million in the first month, or, you know, all these mental goals basically. And it's like, just focus on one, achieve that, and you'll realize how simple it is to achieve that. And then it'll be much easier to achieve other ones throughout the year. So I think our biggest advice from this podcast today, as you're going into 2023, is just focus on the one thing that you would love to have achieved by this time next year, and you'd be so happy with it. And you know it would move the needle in your whole life, but it's just got to be one thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's probably quite a useful task to like look back, like Christina just said, on your 2022 and think, okay, what was this one thing I achieved this year that did do all that, did like make a huge difference? And if I could go back to the start of 2022, what would that one goal be to write down? So yeah, what would you say yours is, Christina? Just like focus on more what you want. What is it? I don't know.
For 2023?
No, for 2022, what would you now, like looking backwards? Obviously, probably at the start of 2022, we all set 20 goals for ourselves, but if we went back to the start, what would your one goal be for 2022 that you
Mine
feel
is
like
still the same as what it is, like what I know I achieved, which is to give myself the confidence and the power that I know I have to kind of build the life that I want. And I know that sounds so like kind of, it sounds quite big in itself, but it's, for me, it was such a small shift in mindset that kind of transpired into making decisions based on my own intuition rather than what society says I should do. You know, picking and choosing clients based on what they represent to me and how they make me feel, working through so many inner issues to really like focus in and heal so I could become the best version of myself. There were so many parts to that goal, but I knew that if I set myself out to remember that everything I want to achieve comes from within and to kind of build that person, then that's going to help me throughout the whole of 2022 in achieving my goals. And that's exactly what happened.
I think that's so, because that is a perfect example, because you say like your goal is kind of more just like self-confidence then. So through that you have achieved your weight loss because you've thought, actually, I want to get back to my pre-baby.
Yeah, I needed to feel better. Like I was sick to death of looking at people and being like jealous of what they look like or feeling like they made me feel like shit. And I'm like, well, that's not their fault. That's my fucking problem. Like I need to change that then, right? It's not anything to do with anyone else. I need to feel good in myself. So therefore that's what I need to do.
Exactly. And then you've like filtered that on to your clients that you're going to, well, actually, I want to work with clients that make me feel good, because that's when I give them my best self and your best work. So actually, if you went through, which you did, and this is advice to our listeners, if you go through the next year always reverting back to, is this going to make me more self-confident? Is this decision going to make me more self-confident? Does this align with my goal of being more self-confident, or whatever your goal is? That will steer you constantly in the right direction. Of course, you can never reach optimum self-confidence. There's always going to be more. It's a lifelong lesson and journey to, to feel always just your best self. You're going to have ebbs and flows of that as well. But if you go through your year like Christina has, always coming back to that question, is this going to help my self-confidence? Is taking this job that actually doesn't align with me at all, and even though the pay is really good, like I hate the culture, is that going to improve my self-confidence? No. Then you can finish the year thinking, I am actually even 10% more confident than when I started. And look at where I am. Christina looks at where she is. She's in Bali. She's living her best life. She's engaged. Like, it's all just worked out. Oh yeah, life update. Sorry, I just offended there, Chrissy.
I know. But that honestly, that's a massive thing to talk about, I think, because obviously, as everyone knows, like this time last year, I was not in a healthy place in my relationship at all. And my family was fully broken. And I never imagined myself raising children in a broken home, but that was the reality I was facing. And yeah, fine, I was fully up for that challenge, of course, but as always, I think the biggest thing I've learned is to listen to my intuition and to trust my gut. And that does come from self-confidence, because if you come from it's not a traumatic childhood necessarily. Like if you come from a childhood where you have had reasons to lose self-confidence within yourself, which I think pretty much everyone has, let's be honest, then you really struggle to trust your intuition. And this is something I have struggled with for so long, like standing up for myself, setting boundaries, trusting my gut, trusting my intuition. And it's been a lot of work I've done, not just the last year, to be honest. I was thinking about this the other day. It's been a work in progress for probably like the last, definitely 3 years since I became a parent, maybe even longer than that, to be honest. And I think that's one thing I've like peaked this year, is like trusting my own intuition and just going with the flow, no matter what it means or what other people think or whatever. Just really thinking, no, I am capable of making decisions for myself. And actually through that journey, we managed to heal as a partnership, but also as individuals. And it's been such a process. Like Ellie knows it full well, but it's one of the most beautiful things I think to come out of this year. And it has been one of those things where they say you really have to hit rock bottom to only come up from it. And that is fully what happened. But actually the engagement sort of signifies just the perfect end to what has been a great year, but has had its fucking hardships. But we chose to rise through them rather than let them consume us, right? Same with business. You'll come to times where you're just like, fuck, this is really testing me now. Believe me, I've had my fair share of those this year as well. But actually, every time I've gone through it and learned the lessons, I've come out so much better for it. And I fully believe that both my own intuition and whatever the universe is doing to guide me through that is always showing me the way. And it's just stopping and listening. And it's like don't let the noise distract you, and just sort of go with that and just trust that you're on the right path if you will only just listen and go with it,
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much value in, like just being true to yourself, aligning with yourself, and living your life for you, and not people pleasing, and all these things. This is what we mean by having this one, coming back to this one goal, and how it's probably bigger than just want to lose 2 stone. Take it further than that. If that's your goal for next year, that you want to get, I know we always talk about fitness and stuff. It's always just such a good example.
It's such a common thing, I think. Like everyone always starts January, don't they? Like, oh yeah, I really want to get fit or whatever. Like everyone always has that as, or like, I want to stop drinking, or I want to stop eating. I don't know. Like it's always something focused around stop eating pizza or chocolate or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I had like I think this is a good goal for me. It's kind of to do with eating, but I was thinking about it last night and I was watching MasterChef.
Gutted, I can't get MasterChef here.
This podcast is sponsored by MasterChef.
Yes.
I wish. But I was thinking about like all this amazing food, and I was like, I actually really need to be more experimental with my food. And I've just thought of this because you brought up the pizza thing. So a few years ago, I gave up pizza for my New Year's resolution.
And you actually did it. You did it for a whole year.
I did do it. But the reason why it's such a big thing is because I used to eat pizza every single day. And I was like, oh my God, I need to stop.
She's obsessed with pizza.
It's not healthy and it's not nutritious. And
Definitely not healthy.
but it was tasty. But I think that probably taught me more than just, oh, I can not eat pizza for 365 days. It's like I do have willpower. But anyway, blah 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 blah. Moving on. I was watching MasterChef and I was like, oh my God, a goal that I would really like to have next year, a New Year's resolution, maybe it's not quite a goal, but is to be more experimental with my food, like really
And
try.
cooking.
Pardon?
And cooking.
And cooking, yeah. Like just everything, like really push myself out of my comfort zone with food, cooking, like anything to, because I was looking at all this amazing food on MasterChef and I was like, oh, like I would never eat a king prawn or I'd never eat like I mean, this one would be a bit tricky, but like veal or whatever, I've never eaten stuff like that. And I was like, I really just feel like I'm not experiencing like all of life has to offer by just sticking to these boring food groups. And like I went to London.
Sorry, you are the classic, like you will have the same lunch every day, won't you? And the same, maybe not the same dinner, but definitely same snack and lunch every single day.
If my ex-work colleagues are listening to this episode, they will know that for 2 whole years, I brought in the exact same lunch every single day for 2 years. It used to be a running joke in the office. But
I love that goal for you though. I think that's amazing.
But what that goal represents, it's not just about food. It's like next year I'm going to say yes more and I'm going to push myself out of my comfort zone more. And yeah, it starts with food and it starts with like experiencing everything life has to offer. But I'm so guilty for just overthinking everything and just talking myself out of things and staying in my comfort zone. And I'm sure like to a lot of people, like I probably don't look like I stay in my comfort zone, but it's where you feel like you're set, where your comfort zone is for yourself. Yeah.
And I think that's the classic. And this is exactly what I think I talked about this a few months ago. I can't remember, but it's like your comfort zone is comfortable, obviously. And that's where people stay because it's like, okay, you probably know there's more out there and you're quite happy, like you want to experience that, but you're so comfortable. You're like, well, there's nothing really wrong here, but you know there's more to life. But people get so stuck in that comfort zone because they're scared to like, you know, what if I leave the comfort zone, but then it's not better. So then have I lost this, you know? And it's like, that's just, everyone has that, I think, the comfort zone thing.
Absolutely. I saw this really good quote the other day and I can't remember what it was, but it was like your comfort zone is the most like detrimental disease or something like that.
Yeah, it is. It's basically mundane, isn't it? You're just like you're allowing yourself just to live in a mundane state. Like you're not unhappy, you're not happy, you're not ecstatic,
you're just plodding along.
Just like mundane. You're like, okay, this is fine. Like, and it's like, are you actually alive though? Are you feeling stuff? I don't know.
I know. Well, I think that's so funny because like I just think that maybe me and you just having like a quarter life crisis at the moment, because that's like definitely how I feel. I'm like, oh my God, my life is coming to an end and I haven't experienced half this stuff and I've just not pushed myself out of my comfort zone enough. So yeah,
this life definitely not coming to an end.
I know, but I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm like approaching like 30 or I don't know.
You're definitely not approaching 30. How old are you?
I'm nearly 28.
That's not approaching 30. I still think I'm 30 and I just turned 31.
I know, but it's around this time it all blurs into one.
Time to have babies.
Oh, I know. Well, no, not yet. But
I feel like we're getting super sidetracked here. Okay, carry on with your goal.
Yeah, no, but it's classic us. But no, I think so. That is probably my goal. It's not specific. It's not like, oh, go to this restaurant and try pigeon.
Exactly.
It's like
live more.
Yeah. Or just push myself out of my comfort zone. That is my goal.
And I think that's exactly what I was saying about this year. For me, it wasn't about a specific target. It is about how I wanted to feel. So you want to finish the year next year feeling like I really accomplish that. Like, I feel like I really push myself out of my comfort zone. And that's so mine for next year is, so I always say 2022 was the year for me to set my foundations. It was like, get everything to the baseline level that I want it to be. Like, I need to be feeling good about myself. I need to, like, physically and mentally. I need to be in a strong relationship. I need my children to be okay. I need to be living somewhere I'm comfortable, like setting all those foundations to allow me for then 2023 to be my quantum leap year, right? So this is the year now where I'm like, right, we've got to jump big now. It's time to really like push myself. And that's what 2023 is going to be for me, is quantum leap. So I want to finish next year as like, fuck, okay, I really jumped a few fucking levels next, like in 2023, you know?
But what does that look like for you? Because I would say 2022 was a quantum leap for you. So I'm not sure how, like, what does it look like?
Well, I feel like that means like the lifestyle CEO, which is obviously, as we all know, is one of my biggest passion points, is like a fully fledged business. And like my dream, I'm putting this out to the universe now, I've never said this to anyone, is to have like a retreat and a membership club in Bali for members of the lifestyle CEO. So people can either come over for a week and stay, or there's a like membership club in Bali that people can come to. And like, I want to put those things in motion next year. And that involves getting some investment. That involves putting together a business plan. That involves basically like doing an Anna Delvey basically, and just like finding the fucking way through and like making it up as I go along. Although I hopefully won't end up in prison, but like, as in, you know, really like pushing myself to think, yeah, I can fucking do this. Like, stop playing small. And that's what quantum leap to me looks like, as well as like just notching everything up a level a bit, you know, like joining a gym which I kind of have done over here actually, but joining a gym where I'm now pushing myself against much stronger, more fit athletes than I was in my previous thing. And like, I don't know, you know, it's just stuff like that. And I think even living in Bali is going to push me to a bit of a new level anyway, but it's just that next step, I think, in my kind of evolution, I guess.
So is this your 2023 goal? Is it leveling up? Is that what would you name it?
Yeah, my quantum leap year.
So your goal for 2023 is you want to quantum leap. So then Christina can go through 2023. Whenever she finds herself at a crossroad for big decisions, she can say, is this going to help me level up? Is this bottle of wine every night going to help me level up? No.
You know what, guys? I will tell you, right? This is one thing I've learned so much, is if you put stuff on your vision board, like they always say in the law of attraction, you just have to forget about how you're going to achieve it. And it's unbelievable. The stuff I put on my vision board, which I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that, but I'm going to put it on there. And because we decided to move to Bali, all of this stuff has happened. Like, I was on my vision board, I've always had like, I want a full-time staff, basically, like a housekeeper, a nanny, a gardener. In Bali, that's just so normal. Like, and they do all your laundry for you. They do everything. They come 7 days a week, and it's like cheap as chips, right? I'm like, oh, okay, so that's how that turned out to happen. And it's like, and a bottle of wine a night. I used to always, that was my biggest thing, was like, I hated how much I used to drink. Like, it was a real problem for me. Not a problem in like an addiction, as in a problem that it was my real lower self continuing to hold on to this.
Yeah. Internally.
And because I live in Bali now and I still work UK hours, I can't drink in the evenings because I start work at 5 p.m. and finish at 1 a.m. So there's like no chance for me to do that. And that's just the universe again, sort of delivering that. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And it's been super easy because I just don't even think about drinking in the evening now. So I'm like, oh, okay. So that's all worked out, you know?
I love that. And sometimes like life just works out for you, and not for you, like for people. And it is like what everyone says and all the manifesting books, it's like when you like let go and surrender to the universe, that's when the universe is like, you know, you're not like pushing it in every single way and it doesn't know what to do. You just let go, let it happen, and the universe will sort it out for you. And that's exactly what's happened. But like, there is definitely that, but there's also this amazing quote that I love, and it's about this guy, and he wants to win the lottery, and he keeps like praying to the universe, I want to win the lottery, I want to win the lottery, please universe, why am I not winning the lottery will like save my whole life, da, da, da. And this goes on and on and on. So one day the universe like gets so angry, and he's like, will you bloody buy a lottery ticket then? And
I love that.
I love that
quote. It's so true, isn't it?
like the universe will do it for you, but you have to also like make a pathway for the universe to be able to do that. So Christina could sit there every single day just like, oh, I want this, I want my housekeeper, I want my laundry, I want to live somewhere hot, I want to like do this, but if she doesn't like do anything about it, she doesn't book her flight somewhere, if she doesn't like get, she's got all the money, or if she doesn't use the money to do it, then the universe is going to be like, well, I don't know what you want me to do, like I can't physically move you.
Exactly. And I think it's just so true in terms of anything. And like, I used to moan so much, oh my God, my relationship, I drink too much, I do this, I do that. And it was like I was waiting for someone to come and be like, okay, here's your answer, like I'll come and save you. And that's why I started the year being like, I need to realize that no one's coming to save me, and like everything is in my own power, and just fucking grow up a bit basically, and be like, right, Christina, look at yourself and look at your own issues and sort them out, and then you'll be able to actually move forward. And that's exactly what I did. And it was a fucking hard lot of lessons I've learned, I'll tell you that. But it has released so many things. And I think if you're looking to level up, if you're looking to make next year a great year for you, if you're looking to like everyone can start a business, obviously it takes a certain amount of mindset to be able to even be brave enough to do that, but actually to run a successful business, it is a lot about mindset, and it's a lot about looking at who you are and being like, okay, there's some things I really need to address and change here, and just focusing on that a bit as well. Okay, yeah, so I feel like obviously we haven't been on here for so long that we had a lot to catch you up on, and actually as we are at the end of the year, I think it's really nice to reflect. And I guess just to kind of round up the episode, it would be nice just to leave you with a few action points from our ramblings today, because I've realized they might be confusing to a lot of people. But I do think that's one point that is a really good thing to do right now, is like reflect on what you've achieved this year, or even what you haven't, but in a positive way. Like, why haven't you achieve something, and does it really feel aligned to you still? Like I had on my list for last year to write my book, and I keep looking at this goal, I'm like, why do I want to write a book? I don't want to write a book. Like maybe I will one day, but it doesn't feel aligned to me at all. I don't really care about writing a book at this point, so I'm just don't need that to be on my goal. And obviously I have done nothing towards that goal this year. So I think reflecting and just being a bit real with yourself about why you haven't achieved stuff, and like not in an unkind way, but just in a, what can you learn from the fact you didn't prioritize that,
Yeah, and it's absolutely okay that as the year has gone on, your goals have changed, because that's something that I was really conscious of, and Christina, you could say the same. Like, you've written this book, you want to write this book on your goals for a few years now, and you've not taken it off your list. And every single year you probably get to the end of the year, you're like, oh, fuck, I haven't even got any further with that. And instead of like being, at the end of the day, a goal is meant to be like an easy like reminder to yourself of why you're heading in that direction, and it's meant to inspire you, and it's meant to make you feel excited and motivated. So yeah, maybe there is something about cleansing through your goals and just doing a little bit of a spring clean. Take that off your list if it doesn't align with you anymore. Exactly. Really just keep your goals to a minimum. Like we said, you have that one overriding goal, then you can break it up into little things. But again, just like, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves nowadays to be like the most productive and tick off the most things and get to the end of the year and be like, I've achieved this. I just think it's so great that like Christina's got, just taking Christina for example again, like she's got to the end of her year and she can say, and it doesn't matter to anyone else, this won't mean anything to anyone else, but she can say, yeah, my self-confidence has threefolded.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this as well, because I think a lot of the time we feel like we're running out of time. Like, this is Ellie and I's biggest thing. It's like, we're like, we must achieve everything right now, otherwise we're never going to achieve it. And it's like, what I've done now, because I was doing that, I was like, right, I have to achieve everything next year. And it's like, because you feel like you have a list and your only list is what you're achieving next year. So you must put everything on that list. Otherwise it might disappear if it's not on the list. So what I've done now is have a list for what I want to achieve next year, but then also just a kind of backlist of things I want to achieve in life. And eventually they might make it onto next, like the goal for next year. Maybe it's end of next year, maybe it's the end of the year after. But there's like a long list of things that I know I want to achieve at some point. But then I'm just going to handpick them and pull them through when they feel right for next year. So for me, next year feels like the right year to fully invest in the Lifestyle CEO, because that is what I want to do. And it didn't feel right this year, didn't feel right the year before that. So that's fine. And then maybe the year after that, I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot I had a book on my list of things I wanted to do, but there it is. And now I'm going to put it on my list of things to do next year, you know? And it's like, put a dream list down, put it in the back of your notebook, put it on a massive vision board for your whole life. I don't know, whatever feels right, but have it there somewhere so you don't feel stressed about, oh my God, I can't forget that that's what I need to achieve, but it doesn't feel like I want to achieve it next year. But just put it somewhere so it's there, but you're not like stressing about achieving it right here and now.
They're in the Positively Wealthy book that Christina and I read. She talks about, Emma Mumford in that book talks about having like a manifestation box, and it has like a little like postcard hole in it. So as you think of your manifestations, like one of Christina's is she wants to write a book or a goal, or like a manifestation or a goal. You can just, and it doesn't, like Christina said, it doesn't feel right for this year, then I would suggest just writing it down, posting it through your manifestation box, which you can just keep under your bed or somewhere that and don't look at it until you feel like you'll know when the right time is to open it and look at it. It might be 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, whatever. And then that's when you can just like, okay, I'm not going to forget about that goal of writing a book. I'm just going to post that in there. That's for my future self. I'll let it go now. And when I open this box, I'll know whether that's the right time for me to do this goal or not.
And do you know what, actually, going back to reflections a bit as well, because that's kind of similar. It's like I felt it was the right time to read back through my journal from this whole year, which I think a lot of people never do. And also, for me, it was super painful to open those pages from like the beginning of the year at least. And ironically, actually, as we come to the end of the year, I've only got like, I think 20 pages left of the book, and it's like it's going to perfectly finish for this year. And I was like reading back through it, and even that for me, I was like, God, like I can still feel that pain that I was writing, but actually the fact that now I feel so different made me feel so accomplished. And I think reading back through your journal and just seeing how far you've come mentally is such a powerful thing to do, and something that everyone needs to do at this time of year.
I think journals are so powerful. If you haven't got a journal, if you don't write a journal, then definitely put that as like a new year, or just a habit. It's not even a goal, it should just be a habit that you just get into next year. And again, don't put pressure on yourself, just write it when you feel like you need to write it. But Christina's so right, because I do the same sometimes. You look back on like those really tough times and you're like, how the fuck did I even get through them? And that actually
gives you so much confidence.
It does, because then if you're feeling like you're going through a tough time right now and you look back 6 months and you're like, oh no shit, that was hard. And I actually I did get through it. I did, and I've been fine. Now I'm just finding myself in another tough spot, but I know I'm going to get through it because I did before.
So I think just to round up the episode, I would say our top 3 tips for right now, as we're in December, before you head into January: reflect back and really be honest with yourself about how far you've come, celebrate yourself, celebrate your achievements, look at what you didn't achieve and why. And then the key thing, I think, is to pick one thing to achieve next year. And I 100% think that you will achieve it within the first 3 months, and then you'll pick something else, or so many different things will come in to the fore because of that, and you'll be so clear about what you want to achieve next. But just focus on one thing, and it should be about how you want to feel rather than a physical thing. So whatever that looks like. And if you want some advice on this, feel free to message us and we'll kind of help you. So if you say, but I really just want to be like, I want to be 2 stone lighter, or I want to get fit or whatever, just say like you want to feel body confident, or I really want to launch my business. Okay, you want to feel brave enough to launch your business. What does that look like? All these different things, and we can definitely help. But I think just focusing on one thing, and and then focus on what the 3 daily habits are that will help you achieve that goal. And I promise you, by the end of January, it will feel like it's within reach. By the end of February, end of March, you will have accomplished it and you'll be on to your next thing.
Yeah, well, accomplished your journey of self-confidence or bravery.
You'll be right on the way.
Yeah, right on the way. But you'll feel like, like Christina said, that you can definitely start feeling those effects. Absolutely. Oh, I love this episode. Honestly, I feel like so ready for 2023 now. So I hope you guys do too. But yeah, please send us any DMs if you've got any questions. Like, we're all in this together, like we always say. So any tips or advice?
We're like on this journey with you. It's not about us out in the fall, but we're kind of just making all the mistakes and telling you about them so you can not make the mistakes.
Yeah, basically. But we still do make a lot of mistakes, so don't worry.
Oh yeah,
you're not alone.
But it was so nice to catch up with you guys, and we, like Ellie said, our DMs are always open, and we will see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.